Well, hi. Today I just changed my setup. I was sick of that stupid chair. It doesn't matter. Here we are. Um, as you know, we're going to talk about how to think and how to write. They're connected. If you're able to write, if you know how to write, then you can express yourself. And if you can express yourself on a piece of paper, on wherever you are in an argument or anywhere else, anything that the topic is, then you can think because, you use your brain and you write something and then you just have it. So, how can we write something in a correct way? For example, how can we manage to write such a magnificent essay or, I don't know, um, a beautiful writing? I don't know, maybe if you want to write a book. I mean, if perhaps you're not an author, but even if you're trying to write a book at your teenage ages, it doesn't matter. You can just use what I'm going to say. And these things is from some good sources like Essay, like Jordan Peterson's son. I think there's a website called Essay, where it's just this huge, tremendous amount of words which you have to read to figure these out. Which I've collected the most important part of them, and a lot of TED Talks, a lot of authors that I've talked to, not very famous, but I mean they know how to use words, they know how to use grammar in their books, they know how to write, they know how to change paragraph. I mean, they're not the owner of the best book of on this planet or whatever, but they're authors and they write correctly. So what I'm going to say is based on some information that I've collected for the last 2 years maybe, and right now I have some information which I will be happy to share with you guys. So first of all, we need a question. So what the hell does that mean? So if you don't have a question, then you can't probably write about anything. I mean, if it's a novel or anything, that's, a little different. But again, let's just talk about an essay or something that you have to write for school or whatever that you trying to do or trying to write, which is which is kind of which is a type of writing, one of those types of writings that are genuinely about answering something. Like the most of the essays are like, there is a topic, you have to talk about it. So the question, for example, let's just talk about something that I have some expertise in. For example, let's say chess. Okay. Well, it's been 7 months since I've started playing chess, and I consider myself, I don't consider myself a chess player, but I do know how to play, how I know like maybe 12 or 13 openings for each color, and my rating is like 700, 800, and I'm just playing well in chess.com. So I'm not that bad and I'm not that good, but I've progressed over a year maybe. And the way I did it, let's just assume that it's about writing, for example. I'm just going to explain it. I'm just going to express myself in a way for you to understand it. So, for example, when I was a total beginner from scratch, I started learning chess. I kind of searched about the game itself. I searched what is chess like. Every small, like they perform it as a sport, as a game that you have to be smart to play it. And I always wanted to be smart in my life. I just tried for it, and so I said, okay, so here's what I want. I want to learn chess. I don't want to. Maybe, for example, just let's assume that in that time I was like, I don't want to be a grandmaster in chess or whatever, but I said, well, I mean, I'm gonna learn it, and I had some friends and they were playing chess, and I am beating their asses like 15 times in a row. So basically, I started asking some question. Just assume that it's an essay or it's writing or whatever. So I started asking question. I started to filling my mind with these questions. For example, first I asked, the most important question was how to play it. You know, in or what is the structure? I mean, what is this? Is this a pawn? Is this what is a rook? What is a queen? What is castle kingside? What is Sicilian defense? What is Dutch defense? What is like uh, London system? There are like some systems in chess. So I started to figuring out how pieces moved, and after that, I just got into it. I learned how to move the pieces, and that was the first step. So that was my first question. Now my first question was, what is chess? I figured it out. Like for example, your question is, what is chess? Then you write something, you search, you write something, and that's your first question. And the second question was, how can I play it? What is the order of pieces? I mean, can I just push this pawn and kick the king or whatever? Which I realized I'm not able to do that because it's not in the rule of the game. You have to follow some orders. So basically, I answered my second question. Now my third question was, I mean, how can I improve? What is the enhancement key for me? I don't know. Where can I find myself in a better position? I mean, I was not very good. I knew some things, but I started to asking myself, what is the problem that makes me to lose instead of win? And I just thought, well, I know how to play the game, but there are some chess players that they know the notation, which is the names of each square in chess. Like I was watching Hikaru Nakamura's video, like Magnus Carlsen, like Fabi, like oh, streamers in chess, and they were like naming the squares while calculating, and I was normal at calculation, but they were like pretty good at it, and I figured I don't know the name of the squares, so that's gotta be the first step. I mean, I have to learn them to be able to calculate more and more. At that time, I was like 300, 400. And I started to learning them. Then I found Gotham Chess, which was pretty damn helpful. So my fourth question was, what is a good resource for me? Who is the greatest teacher in chess that I can follow? Which I found Gotham Chess. Maybe he's not the best player. I mean, I admire him as a player and I love him. But he's a good teacher. He knows how to teach. Yeah, you know. So that was a few questions that I asked and then I answered, and I found myself just getting better and better and better. And after maybe asking 10 questions, and I just improved my question. How can I win against this opening? How can I, save the game at the end games? How can I win? How can I blah, blah, blah? And I just kept asking until there was there was a place that I just figured there is no other question. I mean, if I'm losing or if I'm winning, there has to be a reason related to myself. I mean, I just have to play it more. This is the only way that I can get better at it. I just have to play it. I just have to repeat it, and just figure it out. So I just answered my question. This is the way that you write an essay. So the first thing first, you need a a good question for yourself. So here's another example. When I was a student, now I'm a teacher. When I was a student, I was trying to think that how can I be a good teacher? How can I, manage a class or whatever? I was very close to becoming a teacher, and I did the same thing. I first found my question, which was how to be a great teacher, how to be, a better teacher. All of those other teachers in our academy was normal. They were like average, above average, but I wasn't really into them, so I just said I need to be better. I have to be better than them. So yes. And I asked myself a few questions, a bunch of random questions about whether it's a good idea, it's a bad idea, blah blah blah, and I just answered them, and I found myself in a better position. Now I'm able to teach, and now blah blah blah, and just So to show you how can you make question and how to answer them, this is the way. So yes, first find your question, because if you don't have a question, then you don't have anything to write about. And if you don't have any question, then you don't know much. And if you don't know much, go read books, go watch videos. There is going to be a question. I don't know, maybe your question is how to, manage a relationship, how to be better at a family relationship with my father. I just ask it. Just let's say, yes, let's just assume my question was, what is chess? And you're going to write an essay. Well, chess is a game, for example, and you start to writing. Just to give yourself a clue, chess is a game where you have infinite number of moves, where there is no place that you lose without making a mistake, and you're just figuring out what is chess, what is the way to get better at it, and they're all are associated with the question. So after that, you have the first part. I just talked 13 minutes for the first part, but the rest of it is just easier. Well, it's not easier, I'm not gonna lie. So when you go through it, oh god. So when you go through it after writing maybe a few sentences to just figure out what is your question and what are you going to talk about, you start to write. You start to give yourself a clue. You start to answer your questions. The first question was how to learn chess. Right, you start to write something about it, and then you start to writing a bunch of other questions. For example, how to get better, how to learn openings, whatever the topic is. I'm just chess. Just imagine it as an example. So, how to get better at it? How can I reach this level? What is the psychology behind the game? You can ask more detailed question. I mean, how can you win in this position? How can you blah blah blah? And just you start asking question, and then you just figuring out that, for example, let's say you're in a stage that you have 25 questions and you have nothing else in your paper. So you start, and you don't want more ideas. Maybe 12 or 13 is the best number that you can write for yourself. So you start to write about them. 13 questions. You can write maybe 10 line, a paragraph or so for each question, and try to, please do not try to write like, I don't know, Dostoevsky or Jung, or just keep it normal, as keep it in your level. For example, when I write things, maybe I'm a little bit above average, but I don't try to use just extremely hard vocabulary and whatever, because I'm not able to. Oh, I dropped my. Yes, I'm not able to, attach to that word, but and it's gonna be hard for me to, really feel that thing. You really feel the word that I'm talking. So you just take your question, put it in order, you just write about them, and you have some sentences about it. You just go down, and this is your last question. You just take it, put it here, start to write something about it, and it's finished. After that, you look at your essay, look at your writing, and you kind of analyze it, and you just look at it for a few seconds, and you have to read the last paragraph. You just read it, and there's a part where it ends and you have more questions, which is not a bad thing. I mean, having question and being able to answer them is very good. So you just ask, oh my god, yes, I was going through my mouth. So you just start to ask more questions, like more detailed question, whatever that you have. I'm not saying you have to be detailed, you have to, whatever the question that is, as much as detail you can go through and as much as information you have. Okay, so you can't go and write about psychology when you don't even know how to control anger, or I mean, it's it's somehow impossible in some cases, but whatever. You know, you have to love the topic, you have to care about the topic, and the topic has to be your question. That's very important. So after asking a bunch of other questions from yourself, you just keep doing the same thing. You answer them, answer them, answer them, and there is gonna be a part where you be like, okay, I mean, that's the end of it. Maybe like after 300 million pages, you're gonna say that, I mean, there is no other thing that I have a question about. Like, that's the end of the topic. I just have to stop writing. And by the way, let me just open this file here. You have to write a lot. I mean, I don't want to. Oh my god. When I'm putting it on, it's getting warm, and when I'm taking it down, it's getting cold. It's just weird as fuck. So when you when you write something, you have to put a lot of time. For example, in my previous videos, I've said that if you want to be blah blah blah, you can put, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but for writing, you have to put a tremendous amount of time. I'm not saying 24 hours, for Christ's sake, but you need at least 3 hours, maybe 2 hours to write, because you can't really write and just, for 20 minutes. There is no such good writing coming out of, 20 minutes of writing, because you have to express yourself in a way that there is nothing else in your mind about the part that you're writing. So you picked the first question and you're trying to write about it, and after 15 minutes your time is up, but you haven't finished. So what are you going to do? You're going to just leave it there? No, you're not going to leave it there, because I'm going to kick your ass. No, I'm not going to do anything, but yes, you have to put a little bit more time than doing other things. Like, for example, when I was learning how to draw, I remember I started from scratch. I mean, I had a little talent when I was a kid. I was able to, I was always the best student in class in terms of drawing things, and so I'm not bragging or whatever, but I had this, so just fuck that. I started to just to be consistent on it, and I tried it for a long time, and it was like 15 or 20 minutes a day, because in drawing, in 15 minutes you can draw the whole thing sometimes, but in other times that it's a portrait or it's a face or it's an animal, a fox or horse or whatever, you just try to just draw the shape of it, just squares, that rectangles, triangles, and other things, other shapes that you have. And after that, you're just going to add more detail and detail. So you can leave it after 15 minutes because you have the idea. There's a picture of it, and there's a idea in your mind. You know how to keep it going. You know how to finish the drawing that you were doing last day or whatever. So the point I'm trying to make is, in writing, because you are thinking as the time that you're writing, you're thinking. In 2 hours, there is no question that if you have information about, I mean, it has to be finished after 2 hours. I mean, there is no other way. I mean, there are lectures of professors, of I don't know, of experts in all terms of things, and they talk for 2 hours about one question, not the whole idea, about one question, and that's the end of it. So what I'm saying is, you're gonna answer that damn question if you know about it. You have to put a little bit time for it, not a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 hours. You can start with 1 hour, but at least 1 hour, because you have to just, even if you're sitting down and you're doing this, and there is nothing in your head, like absolute crap, you have like zero vocabulary in your mind, you have nothing to write, you have to sit there and you have to think more, because sometimes you don't have any idea, but you just close the book and just get up and go out of your room, for example, or the library or whatever, wherever that you're writing in, and then there is something in your mind, and you can't add it to that because you just ruin everything. And after that 1 hour, try to not think about it, and if you had any new ideas, you can write it down, but don't try to write too many words or too many sentences for one question because you're going to answer all of them. So by the way, you have to find a good resource for yourself. For example, what I mean by a good resource is you can rely on books. 99%. No, that's a lie. There are so many books out there that you can rely on, and you can read them and get information about your question. For example, if you're interested in psychology, if you're interested in learning languages, if you're interested in I don't know, drawing, there are some books out there that you can go and find and read. Put a little bit of time. Um, you can reach some information, and if you don't have that time to do that, you can use Wikipedia, you can use some other websites in Google. So they're not the best information resources, but if you're out of time, then you have to do it. Yes, after you answered your question, here comes the part where you're just kind of finished, but not entirely. So you have to edit, and you have to reread the whole thing and rewrite the whole thing in some manners, because you have to go and find where you wrote something wrong. For example, I will put something in description. It's about a drawing. It's a story about drawing, which I wrote 2 days ago or 3 days ago about a girl, Lily, who is a girl that is interested in drawing, and there's a blah 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 blah. And I just put it in description. If you like to know what I mean, you can go for it, because the question that I had was, I want to write a little novel about a girl who likes to draw, and she lives in a village, and there is no way to go out of that village, for example, and she just has to draw and whatever. Okay, so let's not lose focus. I was saying that you have to check the whole thing one more time. You go to the starting point of your essay or writing or whatever the hell that you're doing. You just go there and you start to reading it one more time. And you have to be super, super fucking careful. If there is a place that they're going to give you a mark, they're going to value you as, by looking at your essay, you have to be damn careful about the grammar. That's very important for you have to be careful about the grammar. You have to be careful about whether you're using the right word, or whether there is a best place for my sentence or whatever. So you just go and you just start to read the whole thing. For example, I was walking down the street and I saw two beautiful girls. I was very sad that day, and I blah 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 blah. And then you realize that, okay, that's fucked up. I have to change it. I have to use better words. For example, it wasn't terrible. It was just an ordinary guy walking around the street. Yes, you have to kind of figure your problems. You have to. Sometimes it's not very. It is necessary, but if you don't have that time, this is the best way that you can find the best sentence, or the best way to write the thing that you want. Is like, you have to. God, I need water. Oh my god. So you look through your essay and you find where you start a sentence. I was walking down the street and I saw two girls. Period. There's a starting point, there's a ending point. And you just take that out, write it somewhere else. If you do this, it's gonna be just fucking magnificent. You just take it out and you look at it and you say, okay, There are some alternatives, some other sentences that I can write, and blah blah blah, in terms of the same meaning of the sentence that you just put out. Um, and you have to look at them and figure that which one is the best, and you put the best there. The same meaning, vocabulary is better. The uses of words are pretty much awesome. So yeah, you do this with your essay, and you just go down, and you do it with the whole thing, and after that, you finish it. I mean, if you follow the steps that I just said, there is no fucking way that your essay is gonna get a B or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying if you just follow these steps you're gonna be the greatest writer of all time, because I know this information and I'm not. So, but I am better than so many people, and this is the pathway for you to reach the highest level that you can. So yes, follow these steps, and you're gonna be so good at writing. You're gonna see the enhancement of writing better, because only God knows when you can write good, you can just talk everyone through the things that you want. I'm not saying you're gonna manipulate them or whatever. Just let's say there's a topic about history, about Genghis Khan, about Cyrus the Great, whatever, about whoever that is, and there is a discussion, and you know how to write, so you know how to express yourself, you know how to use the right sentence, the right word in the right place, so you know that, and you also know how to talk, because you know how to write, and you make your statements, and everyone is going to be like, who the fuck is this guy, because he just knows too much. I mean, you're not going to be Einstein in 3 weeks, but this is the pathway, for Christ's sake, because I used it and I became so damn good at it. And as an example, which I tried it and I had a good mark, as a writing test in our academy, it was like maybe 5 or 6 months ago. They told me that I have to write something about whatever I want, and it has to be in very advanced vocabulary, very advanced use of words. And I remember it was Thursday, I guess. I started to write things, and I just had no fucking idea what I'm doing, because I knew how to write, of course, but in the way that they wanted, I had no fucking idea. Yeah, so I started to search for it, and I just found some resources, and I just figured these, and I knew so many of the things that I just said, but I just kept searching, and there was where I just said, okay, that's enough. I gathered as much as information as I need, and to be honest, I just went through it straight. And I remember at that time, I guess my time schedule was at 7 a.m. From 7 a.m. till 8 every day, 1 hour. Some days that I was very busy. So in hectic weeks, I would write maybe 35 minutes, 40 minutes, but it was always more than 35 or 30 minutes. I mean, it was always more than that. And there were a few days that I wrote like 3 or 4 hours straight ahead. And my topic was how to learn chess. I mean, it wasn't how to learn chess, it was about chess. I don't remember the exact topic right now, but I know it was about chess. And at that time, I wasn't very good at chess, but I had the idea, and I started to write about it. And I used so much resources. I mean, maybe 25 of them, 30 of them. And the amount of time that I've put to read was just 100% more than the time that I put to write them down. Because as I said, you should know what you're talking about. And yes, I wrote maybe 12 or 13 pages. I mean, back and front, and it was normal size pages. And I gave it to them, and they were like, dude, that's magnificent. I started reading him. I started reading it, and they were like shocked. I just had the question, as I just told you. So there are so many. Not saying stupid. I just said it, but I'm not. I'm probably going to cut this out. So I'm talking to myself, by the way. It's very hard to talk to yourself when no one is in the room and it's dark, and it's very late at night. So yes, I'm going crazy. There are, yeah, let's just say stupid, or those who love ideologies or whatever. They say like, if you want to learn how to write or something, you just have to write. That's not gonna happen. Just believe me, because you just open a book, for example, just right now, just pick something and just use your pen. What the hell are you going to talk about or write about? I mean, seriously, you don't want to find those questions. A week ago, I guess, I was very confused with this question that it's not a good idea for a YouTube channel. It's not a good idea for internet. And I just said, so what is a good idea? I mean, it has to be unique. It has to be what? I mean, what the hell is going on? And after gathering some information, I started to write my question down. And I just said, okay, what is a good idea for internet or whatever? What is a good idea for talking or whatever? And I started to writing things down. This is a good idea. That's not a good idea. It's something. That's not something. That's bullshit. That's crap. That's a 40 years old MILF, and it's like ass. That's like, ugh. That's perfect. Oh, awesome. Oh shit. And after like 125 of those questions, I removed so many of them. I just wiped them out of the table because they were terrible. And 5 of them were brilliant. Some of them were normal. And there were like 20 questions about the topic that I was interested in. So if you want to write something, if you want to know something, there has to be a question. That's the most important part. And the rest of it is just the history. You have to find your topic, write some find your topic, write a little bit about it, find your more detailed question about this main question that you had. For example, if your basic question is, I mean, what is nationalism, or what is, whatever, just whatever. And your the third part has to be more detailed, has to be in more detailed. I mean, what is capitalism, for example? What is the main idea of capitalism? I mean, who are following those things or whatever? And you just go, and you ask so many questions. Then you rewrite and reread and just try to make it, more beautiful, more poetic, or what. I'm not saying, not particularly, but yes. And yes, you just do these stuff and you're gonna write so much better. And I'm telling you, if you can write well, it's gonna be the quote that you have to put in your mind. If you can write good, then you can talk good. Then you can express yourself in the way that you want. And I'm not just saying garbage out of my trash can or whatever. The point I'm trying to make is you have to learn how to write. Writing is like one of the most magnificent thing that you can have, like your own therapy, like whatever that you have in your mind, it just goes by. I mean, I had some ideas in my mind that I know I would like them if I knew what the hell they were, but I don't even know the ideas anymore because I didn't know how to write them. I didn't know how to go through the details. So yes, writing is super super duper duper important. You have to know how to write. Don't go through it too much if you don't like to. If you just in college or whatever and you kind of stuck with these essays or whatever, then you can go as much as I said and just that'd be perfect. So feel free to correct me. I don't know. I'm just using my information and just talk about what I think is right, and some of it is based on some information. Yes, that would be all for today. Learn how to write. It's gonna change your life. It's gonna just learn how to write. Have a very good day, and I wish you the best with your writings. Goodbye.